We humans are a funny bunch. We spend our lives in pursuit of these little pieces of paper, often without stopping to think about why. It's almost comical when you think about it. We chase after money as if it were the key to all our dreams and desires. But do we ever really catch it? And if we do, what then? We spend our lives chasing after these little pieces of paper. We scramble to pick them up, to gather as many as we can, as if they were the most precious things in the world. But what are we really gathering? What are we really chasing? We trade our precious time and energy for them. Every tick of the clock represents moments of our lives that we can never get back, moments that we exchange for money. But is it worth it? Is the trade fair? We give up our time, our energy, our very lives for these pieces of paper. But what do they give us in return? We stuff them in wallets and purses. We carry them around with us, always wanting more, never feeling like we have enough. Our wallets bulge with bills. But do our hearts feel any fuller? Does our soul feel any richer? We even hide them under mattresses. We stash them away, hoarding them as if they were treasures. But what are we really hiding? What are we really protecting? Is it the money, or is it something deeper, something more profound? But have we ever stopped to ask ourselves, what exactly is this money thing anyway? What is its true nature? What is its true value? We look at it closely, we examine it, but do we really see it? Do we really understand it? It's a question that has baffled philosophers, economists, and confused college students for centuries. Great minds have pondered its mysteries, trying to unravel its secrets. But have they found the answers? Have they uncovered the truth? Is it a measure of our worth? Does it define who we are? Does it determine our value as human beings? We weigh it against ourselves, trying to find balance, trying to find meaning. But can it ever truly measure our worth? A symbol of our success? Does it represent our achievements, our victories, our triumphs? We hold it up as a trophy, as proof of our success. But is it really? Is it the true measure of our accomplishments, or just a really elaborate system of IOUs? Is it just a promise, a pledge, a piece of paper that says, I owe you? We pass it from hand to hand, trusting in its value, believing in its worth. But is it real? Is it tangible? One thing's for sure, money is a powerful force in our lives. It shapes our choices, influences our decisions, and guides our actions. It is a force that we cannot ignore, a force that we cannot escape. But is it a force for good or a force for ill? It shapes our choices, influences our relationships, and even dictates our moods. It can bring us joy, or it can bring us sorrow. It can lift us up, or it can bring us down. It is a double-edged sword, a powerful tool that can be used for both good and evil. But what if I told you that money is, at its core, an illusion? What if I told you that it is not real, that it is just a figment of our imaginations? We reach for it, we grasp for it, but it slips through our fingers like a mirage. It is an illusion, a dream, a fantasy, a collective figment of our imaginations. It is something that we have all agreed to believe in, something that we have all agreed to value. It is a shared delusion, a collective hallucination. But what happens if we stop believing? What happens if we wake up from the dream? A shared delusion that we've all agreed to buy into. We put on our virtual reality headsets and we enter a world made of money symbols. We play the game, we follow the rules, we believe in the illusion. But what if we take off the headsets? What if we see the world as it really is? Don't worry. I'm not suggesting we all storm the banks and demand our weight in gold, although that would make for a pretty epic movie scene. I'm not suggesting that we overthrow the system, or that we abandon money altogether, but I do think it's time we took a closer look at this thing we call money, and examined its hold on our collective psyche. But I do think it's time we took a closer look at this thing we call money, and examined its hold on our collective psyche. We need to understand it, to see it for what it really is. We need to question it, to challenge it, to rethink it. We need to break free from the illusion, to see the truth, to find a new way forward. So buckle up, buttercups, because we're about to embark on a wild ride through the wacky world of wealth, worth, and the almighty dollar. We're going to explore its history, its mysteries, its power, and its pitfalls. We're going to take a journey through the strange and fascinating world of money. And we're going to come out the other side with a new understanding, a new perspective, and maybe even a new way of thinking about wealth and worth. So hold on tight, because this is going to be one heck of a ride. Before we had credit cards, Bitcoin, or even those cute little paper bills with the pictures of dead presidents, humans had a much simpler system of exchange bartering. Need a new cloak? Trade a few chickens? Yearning for a shiny new axe? Hand over a couple of goats? It was a barterific time. But as you can imagine, lugging around a flock of chickens to the market every day got old pretty fast. That's where the ingenious idea of money came in. Instead of constantly swapping livestock and vegetables, someone decided it would be much easier if we had a common medium of exchange, something portable, durable, and universally accepted, and thus, money was born. From seashells to salt to giant stone wheels, yes, really. Early forms of currency were as diverse as the cultures that created them. Over time, we eventually landed on precious metals like gold and silver, which were valuable, divisible, and looked pretty darn cool. These shiny trinkets paved the way for the coins and paper money we know and love, or love to hate today. The evolution of money is a testament to human ingenuity, and perhaps our collective desire to avoid carrying around sacks of potatoes. As societies grew more complex, so too did our financial systems. We went from trading cowrie shells to minting coins. We invented paper money, initially backed by the promise of gold, which was far lighter than carrying chests of bullion. Then came banks, credit cards, and the dizzying world of digital finance. Now, we can send money across the globe with a few taps on our smartphones. We've got cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin, challenging the very notion of traditional currency. Who knows what wild and wacky forms of exchange the future holds? Flying cars powered by Dogecoin perhaps, but through all these transformations, one thing remains constant. Money, in all its forms, is a social construct. It only has value because we, collectively, agree that it does. It's a shared illusion that underpins our entire global economy. Section 4. Money makes the world go round, but it doesn't grow on trees. How cash rules everything around me. It's no secret that money talks. It's the language of commerce, the fuel of industry, and the driving force behind countless decisions we make every day. From the mundane, choosing between generic cereal or the name brand, to the monumental, deciding where to live, what career to pursue, or whether to finally buy that yacht shaped like a rubber ducky. Money exerts its influence on nearly every aspect of our lives. It's the engine that drives our global economy, for better or for worse. It can be a source of immense good, funding innovation, creating jobs, and improving lives. Yet it can also be a tool of exploitation, widening the gap between the haves and have-nots, fueling conflict and driving unsustainable consumption. The relationship between money and society is complex, often contradictory and always evolving. It's a dance between our desire for security and comfort and our aspirations for something more than just material wealth. Section 5. Keeping up with the Joneses and their fancy toilets. The social currency of dough. Money doesn't just influence our economic systems, it shapes our social interactions in fascinating and often hilarious ways. We size each other up based on outward displays of wealth, or the lack thereof. We compare salaries, cars, and even the thread count of our bed sheets in a never-ending game of financial one-upmanship. Remember the Joneses, that mythical family we're always trying to keep up with? Well, they've gone global. Thanks to social media, we're now bombarded with images of influencers living their best lives, dripping in designer clothes and vacationing on private islands. It's enough to make anyone feel like their bank account is woefully inadequate. But here's the thing, most of it is smoke and mirrors. The curated perfection we see online rarely reflects reality. Behind those perfectly filtered photos are real people with real problems, just like the rest of us. So, the next time you find yourself envying someone's seemingly perfect life, remember, it's all relative. And besides, who needs a private island when you can have a perfectly good time at home with a good book and a bowl of ramen noodles?